Alright class, today we are going to learn to use the Google Drawing tools from Google Drive here. This will be something that is standard to your new email address that you should be receiving. So we're simply going to hit walk over here once we are logged into our Google account and hit create, and we're going to go down to the drawing. Now this gives us a nice little canvas. The first couple things that I want you to do is name that assignment. So we're going to name, we are going to use naming conventions that will be standardized throughout the course. And we are going to name it the title that I give you. Alright, so I want you to click on this bar right up here. This is where you're going to name your document. We are going to use the format of HAP followed by the year, and for this first course is 2013, and then we will use the title of the assignment from the assignments webpage from SchoolWires. So you will use that title unless you're given other direction, your last name, not mine, and your first name or first couple initials if that gets too long. So this is the naming convention, HAP, that stands for Human Anatomy and Physiology. We are in the 2013 school year, and language of anatomy, and then your last name, first name. These are going to be the naming conventions so that I can quickly sort through your documents. Next step here is to share with me. You will share with my email address, and we will be working on a new email system. It's currently this email address here, sandsandj@gmail.com. I should be receiving a Google school address, so I will give you proper directions for that. I believe it is going to be james.sanson@lbsdk12.com, but you will need to look out for a further posting because that is not 100% confirmed. Then you hit share and save. Also, make sure that you give me editor rights, or that gives me the ability to edit and post comments so I can clear up any misconceptions you might have. From time to time, I will go in and grade that and give you some possible corrections or suggestions, so on and so forth. So hit this share and save button, and that will give it out to me. Also, up here will be a list of users that this is shared with. If we have a collaborative project, you will need to share it with the email address of your peers with which you are collaborating in. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel because I'm not actually sharing this with a real person, but you would normally go ahead and hit share and save to take care of that. So we're going to be using Google Drawing and some Google Docs, other elements of that as well. We're going to try to get away from the traditional worksheets and see if we can get some other areas of our brain involved and actually get some visual things going on. Now, you find the assignments back under, you will navigate to Long Beach High School, and you will go to My Assignments Homework tab here, and that will give you your current assignments. The other thing you can filter out for the class, I don't have y'all's class set up just yet, because that will change depending on what block this is offered. Also, the dates would change, but I do have this scheduled for January here for this particular class. If you're watching this video at a later class, it may be at a different time. But notice here is your assignment. So to look at the details of that assignment, we're going to click here. And today we are going to use Google Drawing to use the appropriate anatomical directional terms to describe the relative positions of the regional term in column A as it relates to the regional term in column B. So that is what we're going to do. I'm actually going to go ahead and take the term frontal and occipital day and set up that first one. The rest of them you will continue on your own. But first of all, you have to make sure that you know what the term frontal and occipital mean as they relate to the human body. So for that, you are going to refer to pages 15 through 18 in your Essentials of Human Anatomy and Physiology textbook. That is the 9th edition, is what we currently have, by Elaine N. Marib. And got to make sure that that is the one that you are referring to, because this is a pretty generic, I've thumbed through textbooks, and that's a pretty generic title. So you can get other authors. We used to have an older version that was Hole's Essentials of Human Anatomy and Physiology, and I've seen a few others as well. So going back to our Google drawing here, got typical word processor controls here. That's one thing I really like about this setup, is that they are really familiar. So what I want you to do to create a shape, we are going to select a shape, draw that out. Notice you can change the color. And to add text to that box, we are going to simply go in here and type our text. Now we got basic word processor controls. Now that I have that selected, I can actually change that size. But you want to pick something that is appropriate for the box that we have drawn here. Now, another quick trick, since we've already drawn this box, we can hit Control C or Command C on the Mac, and it's not liking that for some reason. Okay, and then we can hit Control V, and we can clone that box. Now we want to type our other term here, which is occipital. And if we wanted to actually, if we had something larger that we're going to make multiple, we would hit Shift-Enter, and that would go down to the second line. However, this term, we only need the singular box there, so we are not actually going to need to go down, so we can just hit our backspace or delete on a Mac. And when we hit return, or it's actually going to be enter on your PC that you are more than likely using, it is going to exit out of that box. Now we can move that around, center it. Now the next thing we probably want to do is right click and drag across that, and or actually, I'm sorry, that was left click probably on a PC. And we can actually group this so that the term, now whenever I move these two are stuck together, as opposed to this where the two are not stuck together. And we can hit Control Z to get those back. So again, while you have it ungrouped, you may want to go ahead and create all your boxes if you want to keep them the same size. That's pretty nice. Keep the same size, but for this demo, I'm going to go ahead and group that there. Alright, we have the term frontal and occipital. I'm going to go ahead and move it up here because it would be a better comparison here. Frontal is, the proper term is, let's get a line here to show that connection, and we're going to have an arrow, right? Alright, clicking over, I have created a line. Now if I go over right here, I can actually change the weight of that line and make it a little bit thicker. So frontal to occipital. And looking over our list of directional terms, we would say frontal is anterior to occipital. We can also go ahead and make the inverse connection while we're doing that. And when we're going from occipital, let's be uniform here and get a 4-point line. And we can put the text. Occipital is posterior. That means towards the back when compared to frontal. So I want you to make a nice little graphic for each one of these. Now, once again, we can actually drag all this out. I can select all this, and I can right click, and I can actually group it all together. So now that it's grouped, I can actually shrink it down so that I can have enough room on my document. Another couple of quick controls that I want to show you. I actually have this at a fit view. You can actually zoom in to 200%. That would require you to do a little bit of scrolling. So if you get things smaller, you can change that view. And if you want to zoom back out to see the larger document, you can change that down to 50%. We're going to go back to that fit. And, well, actually it zooms that out. So, there we go. That's how we work our basic controls here. I want to see the use of color and see if we can demonstrate these concepts a little bit better than just your traditional worksheet. Now also notice we have got a research bar over here. So let's say you're looking at those terms I gave you. You have no idea what they mean. We can research over here. And looking at those anatomical regional terms, the first thing that pops up here is WISC-online. I'm not sure if that's exactly how you pronounce it, but that's how I pronounce it here. This takes us on to a nice little tutorial here of a flash-based type exercise that will help us reinforce these concepts. We've got nice little drag and drop activities here that will let us know if we get it correct, it will lock into place. So notice the first one that I drug, it just let it drag back over. It did not actually go. So when you do these drag and drop activities though, however, please take time to pay attention to what it's pointing at. I've seen kids that just do this random fashion until they get it right without putting any thought into it. If you do it that method, you will probably benefit from this activity very little. There are also several contained, so you can go through this. And this is only one resource out there. If you go type in anatomy flash activities or anatomical terminology, flash games, so on and so forth, you will find several other sites that are like this. And I do also want to point out this WISC-online is very useful for the fact that you may go to, it's got resources for Anatomy and Physiology 1, Anatomy and Physiology 2. Our high school kind of has it structured where these are kind of intermingled. In class, they're broken down into two, in college, they are broken down into two separate so that you can go a little bit more in depth. But also notice your list. You've got biochemistry, general biology, economics, foreign language, general chemistry, several learning activities under this general education. The health can also be applicable towards us in anatomy. Many of us will be moving on to that. So I want this, you might want to bookmark this for later use. It may come in business, it may come in use for you later in your educational career. But going back to our Google drawing here, I want you to finish this out. I want you to give it a nice title, language of anatomy, somewhere on there. Layout is up to you, but we want to make a nice visual resource that we can post, and later we are going to post this onto our Google site so that we have some nice colorful illustrations as study resources for ourselves and our fellow students. Alright, that wraps up this tutorial here. If you have any questions, either see me in class or shoot me an email. Just remember, I tend to get test anxiety, so test day is not a good day to ask me questions. Let's follow up with me before then. I generally give you, our test is not going to be for another week or so. So plenty of time. If you do not understand any of these concepts, let's get with me, and we will get these, any of the thing that you are not grasping, we will get that cleared up. But we need to be able to not only know these definitions, but to be able to relate them to one another, and let's use them so that we could properly chart on a patient. This is one of the skills that we actually run into in the medical industry is we've got to be able to apply this. We've got to be able to write using this language. So let's give it our all and get this done. Also, to let you know, big tip for the test, large portion of Chapter 1 test is simply on these few pages, being able to use those terms in context. So that's another little tip. So knock this out. The due date will be posted on SchoolWires. So make sure you have that. If you have any problems getting access to technology, you need to see me and we will get something else worked out. But that is a goal that is written into our framework, is that we integrate technology into our learning and get some experience. And I also have a lot of students that come back to me, and I might have an engineering student, because some of you may end up going into engineering, may not end up using the anatomy portion, but the kids say, hey, what you taught me about technology still sticks with me. Even in the medical field, I am valued at my second job because I am not afraid of technology. I can go in whatever computer system they come up with, and I can work with that. And I taught a large portion of this. I just got in there and played with it. So that's what we learned. We can pretty much undo anything that we do with technology. So remember that, and good luck on the assignment.